Take a moment to peek into the lives of inspirational people living the true definition of happiness with author, presenter, personal stylist and coach Moana Robinson, who chats to people who have overcome challenges to live their best life. Moana is a passion and purpose coach and a personal stylist who empowers others to discover their best life and style, regardless of age. Here is Moana.
Hi Kuvi, thank you so much for joining me today on Take a Moment. We've had a couple of attempts and I've had to go to New Zealand a couple of times and cancel or postpone on you, but I'm so excited to be finally chatting to you and taking a moment with you about your business and about the books that you've written and the challenges or a challenge that you have overcome. So I'd like to welcome you, Kuvi Bradley. And Kuvi, would you like to just let the listeners and the viewers know what it is that you do, the specialty that you do with your coaching?
First of all, thank you so much for this time together and allowing me to share what I do and how I love working with clients. And it's an area that is very modern, very innovative, and not very well known. And I specialize in the body code, which means I connect to the subconscious mind. And just like kinesiology, you ask the body yes or no questions. And the body doesn't lie. It always tells us exactly what's going on with you. So then we dissect it down even further with the new system. The body code is I can pinpoint down to a muscle or an organ or a misalignment or a food intolerance. And once we find that, where it actually originated from, whatever's going on with your body, whether it's out of balance, whether it's in stress, whether it's an intolerance. And then we ask, because a lot of people don't realize that we inherit in our DNA what is going on with our body. Because a lot of the times it's not even ours. It is inherited. You might have inherited a trauma from your mother's side, could have been from your father's side. And we go all the way back to where it actually originated, where, how many generations. You can go back as far as 15, 16 generations, whether it be on the mother's side or the father's side. Once you know that, then you clear it. You clear it from all those ancestors, from the person, and then also, if that person has children, we can clear the path for the children so that they're not suffering or not going to have the same sort of issues as we have had. And it is amazing. You'd be surprised how many parents come and see me because they want to stop whatever's gone on with their body so they have not passing it on, and so that their children have a much easier path.
That's fascinating.
Oh.
So is it in the DNA? Would you say it's in the DNA?
Yes. Well, you know how we inherit color, the color of our hair, our eyes. It's the same with emotions, because emotions are locked into into a muscle memory. If we do not process an emotion that something has happened to us and we don't know how to process it, the body, instead of flowing through our body, the body locks up, tenses up, and that particular emotion is stored somewhere in your body. And at later stages, as you go through life, things start popping up. So if you do not address what is going on with your body, then something will eventually go. It's the old story. You get a little feather, your body is telling you a little bit. If you don't take notice, it will send you a bigger alarm. And then if you ignore it again, then major issues happen within your body. May it be, a major disease, may it be traumatic, may it be mental. If we ignore the signals, then we have major trauma and problems in our later years.
How many sessions do people normally need to have of the emotion code coaching that you do?
Depending on what we're working on, 99% of the time you're looking at 3 sessions. That's what your body does. If we're digging a little bit deeper, and if we're working on emotional things, it's up to 5 sessions generally. But it is because we're working with every single person individually, one-on-one. Every person has a different map. So I might, what I might work on with one client through 3 sessions, another client might need 5 or 6. But if we're dealing with what Dr. Brad teaches us, which is, tapping into our heart, tapping into what truly is not bothering us, but as we live, as we grow, and I'm in a youthful stage now in my age. We have gone through heartbreak. We have gone, the boy at school didn't love you. You fell in love with him. All those emotions that we carry, we call a heart wall or heart trauma or heart. Probably the heart wall is the easiest way for people to understand, because as life happens and as you build those emotions, and unless you process them, you stop yourself. So the heart wall would generally take at least 5, 6 sessions. I had one client, it took 9 sessions, and I went, oh my goodness, that was a lot. But that's very, very rare.
Yeah, yeah. And how long have you been? I think I remember you doing the studies for this, because you and I have known each other for quite a while. How long have you actually had the business doing what you're doing now?
I have specialized in this area for almost 12 years now. So it's more than a decade. And I sometimes think to myself, oh my goodness, have I been? And it gets better and better all the time, because it's like anything that you really enjoy doing, you become better. You become so much more evolved, and it's so easy to work with clients. And I think it's just the most amazing, modern, new, and innovative way to help people, to help them deal with their emotions without having to talk about the trauma. We don't need to discuss anything. I just know that you have an issue to work through. I said, okay, where's the imbalances? And we just go from there.
This is fascinating. I will have to come and see you one day. I haven't got around to doing that, but it's really fascinating what you do. And you've also written some chapters. You've been a co-author in is it 2 books now?
Yes, I've co-authored 2 books, and I still can't believe it.
Yep. So it was Radiant, and what was the other one?
Radiant.
Radiant.
And Legacy Business Builders. Quite interesting, because when I first arrived in Australia, English became my 4th language.
Yeah.
And so for me to now, at my youth, to write to co-author 2 books is just amazing. To
Congratulations.
sit down
Four languages.
Yeah.
I always admire people who can speak even more than one language fluently.
I must admit, I do have a bit of a how would I say, a benefit, because I was born in Prague, so it made it easy to speak that language because I was born with it.
Yep.
And then we just happened to be traveling, and I learned a bit of French, which I've totally forgotten. Then we lived again in Germany. So when you are in a country, it's so much easier to learn a language.
Yes.
And then we eventually arrived in Australia, and English is the hardest language to learn.
Oh, that's amazing. I think because there are so many different versions of the English language, and there's like in other languages, do they have slang sort of sayings like we do have in the English language?
What I find with English is that in the German or the Czech language, the way you speak it is the way you write it. Whereas in English, I would constantly, because my brain was European,
Yep.
I would constantly be making mistakes in the spelling
Mm-hmm.
because what I thought how to spell it and the way you spelled it was always totally different. And so that was a real struggle for me.
Mm. So some of the other languages too, they have a male and female version of different objects and or if it's a male or female talking, is that right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Well, again, when you're born with the language, it's so much easier. But yes, you definitely do both in Czech and in German.
Yeah.
You have the masculine, feminine, and like neutral.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's huge that you have co-authored 2 books and you did it with English as your 4th language. A lot of people find it hard to, do that if English is their second language. So how did you actually overcome that challenge?
Well, when I eventually decided that I was going to be part of the books,
Yeah.
I just didn't think about anything. Once I knew what I wanted to write, I would
Yep.
sit down and I actually handwrite the chapters. I
Oh,
don't
did you?
type them up. I
Yep.
find it distracts my flow. So
Mm-hmm.
when I have a pen and paper, I just write and it's peaceful and quiet. And I handwrote the whole chapter.
Wow.
Then I read it into, I think it's
Otter, is it?
Otter,
Yep.
and that typed it all up for me,
Mm-hmm.
which saved a lot of time.
Yep.
And then, that made it easier for the spelling and all the correct. And I did have someone to edit it as well to make
Yep.
sure that it flowed. But when I was in the thinking mode, I would just sit and write. I wasn't thinking about the flow or anything. The story came out, so I just wrote it. And then once I actually read it, I went, oh, that needs to be reshuffled because as you're thinking it, you think you're writing it correctly, but then when you read it, you go, no, that doesn't fit there. That needs to be up here. So
Yep.
I rejigged it and shuffled what needed to be really shuffled. And so it would make sense to whoever was reading it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the best way for you to write a book, I think, or write a chapter when it just comes out. And if you're used to handwriting, I find different authors have
Absolutely.
different ways of doing it. Some just dictate it straight away, some handwrite it, some type it. But yeah, so those books are available on Amazon and on your
Yes,
website,
they are.
or just
Yes,
Amazon?
they're available on Amazon. Yes.
Yeah, well, I'll put all the details down below when we publish this interview.
Thank you.
What was it that made you think you'd like to do some writing and write these, co-author these books?
When I found who was writing and the lady that was the editor and
Yeah.
the one that was publishing, intuitively, my body just said yes.
Hmm.
I've been offered to be in many books, but I always follow my intuition and I listen to my body. And it just said, yep. So it was that instant yes. I went, okay, I'm meant to be in these books. And that's how I always work with my intuition and my gut. And it's one of the chapters that I talk about, intuition and our gut feeling, because we have lost that ability or the art of listening. And we go straight away to the mind, which is the ego that wants to control.
Mm-hmm.
And if I thought about it, then I would have gone, oh no, God, who'd want to listen to me? You go into that, but it was that yes, instant. And I'm like, okay, I'm meant to be. And then I panicked. Once I said yes, then I panicked.
Yeah. Well, who was it? Richard Branson that says to make you, was it decide to do something quickly and then change your mind slowly or something? Just decide to do it. Yeah.
Mm.
And just do it. I think that sort of goes with the body code, doesn't it? That you become self-aware and once you learn how to listen to your body, because that's what I believe in too, being self-aware and self-sufficient. So once you know how to do that, it's like you've got your own advisor inside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you have.
Mm.
Well, your subconscious mind is your inner voice, and if you just that instant you get an answer, you listen to that answer. I mean, it's the same where you could be walking down the road and you go, oh, it's that instant intuition that your body's going, don't go there, go left, don't go right, and if you learn, and it would be a beautiful, like one of my passions is how amazing would be to teach the younger generations, the little kids, to listen to that voice, to listen if they've got that little intuition within them, to go, oh, to listen to that, trust it, and then follow through on it.
Yeah. It's very interesting. And I think we don't sort of learn these things until, well, you do the study like you've done. And also as we become older and wiser, learn about these things through experience and also through learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what about when you started your business? What was it that, like, what were you doing before you started your business?
I had just been married for a couple of years, and I was working in IT, and it was another one of those, oh, we're restructuring, so you're redundant. And I'm going, God, not again. It's like, it's with me, it was constant. So I just went, I'm one of these, I feel that with my life, the way I've been growing up, I just go with the flow. And, being redundant means like, okay, tick that off. Yep, next.
Yep.
It doesn't faze me at all, whereas some people really can't cope with change.
Yep.
And my husband just said to me, listen, you're really good at what you do. And at that stage, I had not heard of the emotional body code. I was just a Reiki master, and I did energy work on all sorts of things. And he said, well, why don't you just pursue that and work from home? And I'm like, you sure? I'm like, okay. So I pursued it and started doing the working from home. And then I was given a book called The Emotion Code. And I went, oh, God, not another self-help book. But after reading it, I went, oh, my God, this is brilliant. This is amazing. And so immediately I became qualified, certified, did my studies, and haven't looked back. And that's been more than 10 years now.
Yeah. You're a very, very dedicated person. I know because you're a regular attendee at Tuesdays on Target. And I know all the study that you've done, all the ongoing learning that you've done. You've ticked all the lessons off as you've gone from each round of study that you've done. And I think that's really key to living a fulfilled life, is to never stop learning.
Oh, absolutely. I'm already planning next year to do the third level of study, which is called the belief code, which is, well, he taps more into our belief system, because a lot of beliefs that we think are ours, when you ask the question, is this belief mine, or did you inherit it, or did you hear it from someone else? And it is amazing how much is what we hear as we were growing up as kids. And we think the belief is ours, but it's not even ours.
No.
And it's the same with the imbalances with the person, if they've got challenges. So much of it is inherited. It is amazing, really. And I did stats for the first 10 years. I've collected stats since the day I started working, because I was fascinated, especially with the heart wall, because with all the clients over a 10-year period, I wanted to know where they came from. I wanted to know who did they inherit them from. I wanted to know what were the top emotions. And it's, 90% of, even more, 95% of the clients' emotions weren't even theirs. They were all inherited. So,
Wow. So just out of interest, what are the main emotions that people want to clear or that come up that they find that they want to be cleared?
well, normally they don't come to me for a particular emotion. They come to me with a particular symptom.
Okay.
Where they might have, relationship issues. They might have financial blocks. They might have anxiety.
Mm.
They might have, I had one client who was scared of flying. And after 3 sessions, she flew all the way to the US on her own and back.
Gosh.
She was petrified of flying. That was really so rewarding. And again, a lot of the emotions were inherited from her ancestors. And so it just depends what we're working on one-on-one as to what sort of emotions they are. I mean, the top, for example, Dr. Bradley Nelson has top 60 emotions. Not sure if you'll be able to see that. No, probably not.
See that?
I've got it.
Just read it
Yep,
them
there it
out.
is.
Oh, yep. For the audio, for the Spotify, what are some of the top ones?
He has 60 emotions that he's found over his time in his work, because he's a chiropractor, and as he found people are coming to him for the same thing over and over and over, and he found that there are main 60 emotions. To just give you an example, if we're working on the heart and we're working on the heart wall, the top ones are love unreceived, feeling lost, feeling betrayed, and abandoned. Then feeling unappreciated, like you do something and people don't appreciate the work you've done. Heartache, you're really insecurity and feeling vulnerable. They're just the 10 top that he talks about. And there's everything. And as you know, certain emotions are also associated with our organs. For example, if we have issues with our liver or gallbladder, the number one emotion is anger. Number one emotion is anger. And then bitterness and hatred, resentment, feeling guilty. And they're the lowest form of vibration, these emotions. So when we release things from a client and they just feel like they've lost 10 kilos because they're not feeling it in their energy, they're not feeling it in their body, and they're just going, oh, wow, I don't know how to describe it. I just feel light.
Light, yeah. And do people come and see you, or do you conduct your consults over Zoom?
Well, I can consult anywhere in the world because I have clients in Europe. So obviously we do that online. But if anyone is on the Goldie, then I always say, come and see me face to face, at least for the initial consultation. So if they are close, and then after that, once they get to, know me, they tend to just do it online because they know that the energy works the same, whether they're here face to face or whether they're online. And energy is everywhere. Energy is all around us. And whether, energetically we're connected now, even though we're not together. So whether I have a client in Europe or America or here, it really works the same.
You're obviously very passionate about what you do, and it shows, the study that you're doing, and I find myself too that I love having clients because it's a two-way. It's win-win. You learn from your clients each time you meet a client. Yeah. Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to in the near future?
Oh, well, the kids and grandkids have been traveling around all over Australia, so we're looking forward to having them back home.
Yeah.
And next year to do the extra study. That's really exciting. I'm already planning that because
Yeah.
I want to do it in the US.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a big
Wow.
journey.
Yeah, so that's so exciting. Is there any advice that you could give to someone who's maybe got a challenge similar to yours, with English as a second, third, or fourth language and wanting to do something? Is there any advice that you'd give them? Maybe, I think you were talking about listening to your body, weren't you?
Mm.
Yeah.
Look, when I was the idea was introduced to me about writing being part of a compilation book, it didn't really scare me at the moment because I just went, yes.
Yeah.
And it was afterwards I went, OMG, what am I going to write about? But once I went, okay, I can do this. But the thing is, what I did is I handwrote it. It didn't matter whether it was right spelled, incorrectly spelled, or whatever. And then just read it back into the Otter, and it just wrote it up for me.
Mhm.
And I feel that makes it so much easier it doesn't matter what English is your first language or third language. And we have such a multicultural country.
Yeah.
Everybody comes from somewhere, and it just makes it's a much easier flow of doing the chapter, putting it together, and just put it together. It really doesn't matter because there's always the editors who will help you. And once that's done, that's, it's so amazing to even go back and read the chapter for yourself, and you're reading a bit of history.
And also you're leaving a legacy.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And it never occurred to me in my wildest dreams that I'd ever be writing a book. So that in itself is quite exciting.
Yeah, congratulations. You've done so well, and it's a pleasure having you in our little networking group, Tuesdays on Target. We always love it when you can come on. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you again. Is there anything else, any other wisdom you'd like to impart to our viewers and listeners before we leave?
Learn to listen to your body because your body doesn't lie. All the truth is within us. It's that instant answer that when we ask a question, listen to that answer because it's there. Your body will always give you the truth, always. You can manually do it with kinesiology, putting your hand up and asking your body yes or no question. And that sometimes is a good way to start because a lot of people don't trust, oh yeah, was it really that? Did I really hear that? But if you put your hand up and you ask a yes or no question, your body will tell you.
Yeah, for sure.
It just, it never lies. It will always give you the truth.
Yeah. Thank you. That is wonderful
You're welcome.
wonderful advice. And I really want to thank you for taking a moment with me today.
Thank you so much, Moana. I really appreciate you taking the time to interview me, and I just feel so blessed and honored to be on your show.
Thank you, Kuvi.
Thank you for listening to Take a Moment with Moana Robinson. Remember to visit her website, bestyledforlife.com.au, and book a time for a further conversation.